Hey, Kodiak here, and today I am back with another tribe update video. The tribe level 4 is mostly just setting up steel. So if you already know how to do that, it's actually just kind of going through the steps. It's pretty quick. Um, Refining furnace, stock steel ingots, build the protections of this particular tier. The gold coins took a little bit of time, but like I said last time, in order to stock the gold coins, you go ahead and basically sell boss items. Um, or food or whatever else you got, whatever you got to sell it, because looting coins sucks. You only get like 5 coins, so if you needed hundreds of coins, it would be terrible. Um, so that's basically this tier. It worked out pretty well. I haven't clicked the upgrade button because it usually spawns a merchant afterwards, and I want to go farm coins before I do that. In terms of content of unlocking steel, first thing I do is I usually come down to the volcano and grab the obsidian. I like to actually go to this portal here and then kind of go north up this little pathway and then kind of go off road into the mountains up here. There's a lot of obsidian in this general vicinity that where there's really not many monsters. I think there's some like armadillos around here or something like that, but they're not hostile. There is some monitor lizards over here, but like I don't like I'm full up before I even hit them usually. So that's not something I really worry about. And then I just kind of come back, and that's usually enough obsidian for quite a while. When I do go mining, I do like to use a character that has vein protection. It is a Fang exclusive on laborers. I've been really looking quite a bit, hitting the Fang camps up nonstop for really good laborers, and I just have had no luck with it whatsoever. I'm even at the point where I'm like stealth assassinating the crafter characters and then just like getting out. And like I hit it up on not every day, but every other day type of scenario. I hit up the 2 beginning ones, and I just I cannot get any of them to have like 120 mining or 120 farming with farming, expert or any of those things. So definitely a little frustrating, but that's the RNG for you. Um, Once I have that, I can go meteorite mining. Meteorite mining, I like to hit up the elite snow leopard locations. So there's one here, and one here. So like I will port into this, loop around, kill that guy, go down the hill, kill that guy, and then I might you clear out those two after you kill them, and then once you go back, drop it off, come back here, and then grab that meteor crater, and then go out, and then usually if you let it set for about an hour or so, you come back, it'll be back up with the actual vein protection trait. Otherwise, it will go ahead and you might have to wait 2 hours or something like that. So that's meteorite. The next thing is you got to get hides. So again, we killed the jaguars or the elite snow leopards. Basically the same thing. Those will give you the delicate hide, which you need for weapons and tools. So that's usually my main source of that because I'm always going to need more meteorite. And then my source for thick hide is usually elephants. Elephants have a pretty easy cadence overall to go ahead and fight them. They're very similar to Slayer S in that you dodge their attack and then you counterattack. You dodge their attack, you counterattack. And it takes a little bit of time to get the timing down because it's not like the way that I said it. It's a little bit slower, but once you get used to it, it's not too bad. If you get hit in that scenario, they'll kind of like boop you with a headbutt, and then that'll do like 1,000 damage. So you can't like eat too many of them, but you can eat a couple of them and not panic. That's also why I like quick bandaging, because you can like quick bandage in between dodges instead, and you have plenty of time. So those aren't too bad. Dual blades does a ton of work. They bleed for literally hundreds of damage. It's really good. Another one that's really efficient is actually the bears. There's the elite brown bear here and elite brown bear there. This one actually has crystal, and it's quite a bit of crystal. It's like with a really good mining character, it's it's well over 1,000 crystal. It's like I almost say it's almost 2,000 crystal out of there. It's really good. But you do have to kill the elite bears. In those scenarios, I like to bring the tactical guidance mask with followers, whereas this one I usually go solo. So that's your thick hide. That's also your crystal. You need the crystal and the jade for and I hope I said this right, Chalcedony, that you need for the jewelry in that tier. And that's pretty much all the materials you need to do that. Once you have all that, it's basically a matter of setting things up. And when you first start out, you're going to need basically a powered cutting table. And that's going to be in order to make your bricks. So it's like you got to make the blackstone bars, and then there's blackstone bricks and things of that nature. That will then in turn let you make the powered refining furnaces, which will let you make steel, and steel will let you make things like molds and chisels and other things that you need for other buildings. So once you have that set up, then you need to go ahead and build up enough steel that you can actually get the building workshop 3, as well as, probably more importantly, the uncrafting table part 3. And this will let you uncraft any of the low level or low quality level items that you are making in steel. Then I always go with tools first. When you're making tools, the butcher knives always have the 3 ingots, whereas the iron picks and axes have 5 and sides have 4, so you always just spam a bunch of butcher knives. And then for weapons, I always make bows when leveling up. The nice thing about bows is that bows actually don't take any delicate hide whatsoever. They take leather rope and branches, and then the metal of that tier. So that's a very cheap recipe. Leveling weapons is always very cheap. You can do that for bronze and iron and steel. It's really easy. So that'll give you like a really good basis. The armor does definitely take a little bit more effort. I like to make these like quite a few. I usually make around 400 steel chainmail. It takes forever. It's like a great activity to like throw that on and then like, you know, do chores around the house or something. So that's actually pretty good. That'll give you a good jump start depending on your settings. You know, it's all based on your proficiency multiplier. But then at the end, it's pretty much you just got to make something. And so I don't, because of the Chalcedonian requirements of the steel rings, I don't want to burn those gems on this map. So what I do instead is I usually make steel pants that does use extra thick leather, but it's very easy to get thick leather. The refined cloth and the steel chainmail amounts are definitely higher, like double the amounts. But again, it's more about that extra component, which saber-tooth predator fangs, I have like, you know, 250 of those, and I'm going to get more here when I go farm more bosses. So that's definitely nice to go ahead and use those. And that's how I got to 120 armor crafting. Once I've done all that, I usually look at the amount of durability on the equipment. So for example, you can see here, my stuff made by Weaponsmith Wanda has 8,500 durability, whereas default, as in if you were to get a red drop off of a mob made by a tribesman crafter, it'll be 6,000. So when I set up my uncrafting stations and my repair stations, I look at the amount that it's actually getting, and then that's how I set that up. So for example, here, I only auto repair steel weapons if their durability is greater than 8,000. But I don't want to automatically repair them if they're less than that. Why are you waiting? Oh, I don't have any shells. That makes sense. I can go get that afterwards. So, so that's kind of how I do this, and I do that for all the tiers. Is, you know, once they've kind of maxed out their skill, check how much durability things have. So like for example, bronze armor, 5,600. Okay, perfect. I'll set this to 5,500. You know, you always want to set it to a little bit less. And then over here at the uncrafting table, how I do this is basically I will break things down once they're below that amount. So like for example, if I get any bronze armor that's below 5,500, just auto delete it. Same thing with iron armor, and then iron weapons, and then steel weapons. If it's less than 8,000, I don't want the crappy steel weapons in there. I only want the good steel weapons. Same thing with iron weapons, and etc. The reason for this is because, for example, you're going to be repairing these items quite a bit at the various training grounds. So you only want to repair items that are going to be pretty good. Now, this is all to tribe mode where there is no durability loss on tribe mode. When there's durability loss, that whole setup is completely different. If you're on survival mode, completely ignore all of that. Otherwise, you're just going to be destroying your gear after like one repair, and you're like wasting a ton of materials. So definitely pay attention that this is tribe mode where there is no durability repair costs, or rather they're just turned off by default. So that's kind of that. So that's kind of the setup of getting steel up. Once that's kind of done, I've just been farming more bodies. Like I said, it's a perpetual thing. Come to the claw camp, come to the barbarian barrack. doing that a lot. I did do the Tempest Griffin. I got my ass whooped because I got lazy and complacent. Basically, I just ate a shout to the face, and the shout just instant killed me. It didn't help that I had the wrong mask on. I had the companion mask on with tactical guidance, even though I had 0 companions, so that obviously was not very useful. If I had switched over to something else, it would have been a lot better. Like even the wilderness mask, just the extra bow damage and things like that. And then finally we have invasions. So I ate 2 invasions during this this upgrade period. One of which was kind of like at the tail end of the other one. And basically, invasion number 6, they started throwing explosives at me, is the short way to say this. So they still do the ballistas. Or say they still do the crossbow towers. So they'll, like, half the guys will come in, die, and then 2 guys set up 2 crossbow towers, and then the other people get stuck behind it usually, and then that's fine. So I thought, hey, no problem. I know how to solve this. I'll throw a combustion can down. I did that, and then they all whipped out their bows and started shooting explosive arrows at me. So a lot of this got destroyed. I used to have farms over here, and I do not have farms over here anymore. Because this is a very dangerous spot. Same thing with the other place. We'll have that at the other door, because again, they can spawn at either of the POIs. So that didn't really work out too well. So my next kind of thought was, hey, I got ballistas. So that's kind of what we do over here is basically I have ballistas now dialed in to the doors. So you can see like I have a ballista there. I have another ballista over there in case one of those goes down. Putting it over there was actually pretty dangerous. That one actually didn't blow up, but I removed it because I was getting hit while operating it. But basically, these are just dialed in on the doors, and you could just shoot them, and then they explode, and then they do pretty decent AoE damage. So if they drop the crossbow towers anywhere inside here, it's not a problem. Well, the waves are actually, like, I'm starting to get like 4 waves, like 100 plus odd guys, and the later waves were actually building some of the crossbow towers outside of the gates. The good news was that these were no longer blocking the guys, so they would just come in and die to pegboards. But the bad news was like now I'm back to playing the, try to get an angle on them, hold down block and then throw things at them. It's not great. If I could fight them melee, it would be better, but it was really tough. Now, one thing I did figure out is you can actually hold down block and stab up like that, and then that actually was hitting them a little bit. So like that might be a new alternative, is once I get the rest of the guys down, I can then just go in and up stab at their face until they die. So definitely some stuff, but I feel like they're more or less under control, so that's another reason why I want to go up to the next tier, especially because at 100 plus guys you get a lot of loot. I actually have my guys, they loot and they auto sort. You can actually set that up by coming into here to, I usually take my guards after the fact and you set them to cleaner, and you can see collects loot around from the bonfire and cleans toilets. So they will actually go out and loot for you automatically and shove everything into the dump chests or into whatever chest that they get sorted into. And that's actually pretty nice. So like you don't have to loot every corpse. You don't have to like walk back or anything like that. You can just let them do it. Meanwhile, I'm usually managing breaking everything down and doing all that. Or now I have those auto settings, and now the auto settings will automatically break things down for me. So that's actually pretty nice. And you actually get a lot of loot. Like I said, you're breaking down, let's say just 1 piece of armor per guy. At 128 guys, it's 128 steel chainmail, 128 delicate thick leather. So that actually adds up to be pretty decent. So I'm kind of a fan. I'm actually enjoying the actual gear and loot that I'm getting from all those, and that's kind of working. So I'm kind of excited to keep that going. For that, I just hope that the invasions don't escalate. I have a hidden suspicion that as we get up to here, because again we're only on consecutive and defensive 7, I do have a concern that by the time I'm getting up to 8, 9, and 10, maybe they're dropping their own ballistas, and ballistas actually do quite a bit of damage to barriers and whatnot. Other than that, the only other thing that I've really been working really hard on is I've been working on setting up my what I've been calling explorers. These guys will be the ones that actually go out on expeditions. They're actually quite nice. In terms of the setup, again, I'll have a whole video on them, but that means that I will be able to start sending guys out to like auto farm jade for me, or auto farm talc and those types of things. So you also get the durability gear upgrade, so that's really nice. For that, in terms of tribe cap, I'm at 57 out of 60, but that'll go up to 65 here in a little bit, so that'll be actually pretty nice. So that's been pretty much the tribe level 4. Not too bad. Definitely need to kind of upgrade the buildings a little bit. You know, definitely a lot more durability on Blackstone. I do know there's the Night Stone stuff as well, which is supposed to be cheaper to make, but honestly, I do prefer the look of the Blackstone. This is like a nice flat finish as opposed to the glossy style of the Nightstone, but I might actually do like Nightstone railings or something like that, maybe a little mix or some shit like that. I don't know. We'll play around, try to get things looking a little bit nicer. So that's pretty much it. Thanks.